Welcome to Write to Publish, your go-to podcast for all things writing and publishing. I'm Karen Stanley, a 14 times published author and the founder of Mabel and Stanley Publishing. Join me as I share a multitude of tips and insights drawn from my own writing and publishing journey. We'll be hearing from some inspirational authors too, who will share their writing experiences and top tips for success. Each week, we'll learn about an aspect of writing, from composition to genre and from publishing to marketing. Listen in as we learn and chat about all things writing and publishing, and let's get you on the right path.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Write to Publish with me, Karen Stanley. Very, very excited this month because I'm doing a whole feature on some of my lovely authors, some who've published with Mabel and Stanley Publishing, some who've published differently. But we're talking to all these lovely new authors about their writing process, their writing journey, and they're going to be offering their tips, tricks, pearls of wisdom, and the things that they wish they'd known when they started as we go. And I'm joined today by the lovely Paula Russell. Hello, Paula.
Hello.
Here she is. And she's going to talk to us today about her books, about her writing process. And actually, Paula's done things a tiny bit differently to how I normally work with writers. So this will be an exciting chat. So welcome to Write to Publish, Paula. So tell us a little bit about your book. Well, actually, it's books, though, isn't it?
Yes. Didn't start out that way, but yes, it's a series now. Book 2 is out. So yes, book 1 is One More Try. Book 2 is Let Me Go. And yeah, it's a romantic sliding doors type fiction, basically.
Lovely.
What if?
Yeah, what ifs. And it's kind of lots of different scenarios. So we've got the kind of the same situation, but different scenarios of different actions, consequences. It's that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. So perhaps you tell the listeners how this all came about. What was because your journey started slightly differently to the norm, I think, really. How did your journey start as a writer?
Yeah, it was really just a bit of inspiration from a song, One More Try. That's why I named the book that. And I had this story in my mind when I was running. I would be, visualizing it, and I'd put off actually writing anything down, put it off. Oh, and eventually in lockdown, I started writing it, thinking, well, I'll probably get a page in and that'll be it. And it was the complete opposite. As you know, I couldn't stop writing. The characters just developed. And as you said, the different scenarios. What if this? What if that? So yeah, it was really, really quite interesting. So that's how I've done things differently. I wrote a lot.
In fact, tell people, how many books did you write?
So there's enough for 6 if all
Wow.
goes well.
Yeah. Wow.
Because some of the latter ones, there's less of it. I did keep writing the bones of it, if you like. So I've still to go back to them. But I'm thinking at least 4, possibly 6.
Wow. And so when you started writing, obviously you wrote the first 2 in quite a bit of detail, but did you kind of start writing with the whole different range of scenarios in mind, or did you write one scenario and then another one came to you? How did that work for you?
No, that's great. That's a good question, because it was really interesting. The first story that I wrote was the only one that I had in my head, but once I started just pondering it more, and as you know, the characters develop as you get more into the story and write more. And I just kept thinking, oh, what about this? And yeah, so it did definitely develop over time, and I loved it. I loved the whole, how much it sparked my imagination. It was great.
It's funny that, isn't it? As a writer, and my brother once joked, I was writing one of my books and I sat down and I said, and I'd put a post out, I don't know, on Facebook, said, oh, I'm writing again today. I can't wait to find out what happens. And my brother actually rang me and went, is that really what you do? You just sit down and home. And I said, it's amazing, really, when you kind of allow that creative stream of consciousness to come.
Yeah.
And if you know your characters really well, which I imagine, we'll talk about your characters in a minute, you know them as if they were real people. It's a tiny bit of a weird world that we inhabit as writers, but it's amazing. They do almost guide you down the story, don't they? The story sort of almost, sometimes you're not really sure what's going to happen until you start writing, and it unravels before your very eyes, actually.
They do, and some of the characters came into it more and more as I kept writing. The ones that weren't quite so prominent at first, they kind of grew a personality, if you like. And yeah, but it's amazing because until you're there, I guess you don't really know.
No,
You don't think
no.
about it that way.
And I'm going to ask you a question now. You're going to think I'm weird. Do you, do you feel like your characters are real? Because if I'm writing a book, I go to bed dreaming about my characters, dreaming about conversations I might have with them. They become real people in my head. Is that the same for you?
Oh my goodness, yeah. And if so one of my beta readers said something about one of them, and I was like, I'm really offended by that. I'll be telling them, You do. You feel like they're your family, they're your friends, they're real people, part of your life.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like an imaginary friend kind of scenario. It's bizarre, actually.
You have conversations in the shower between two of your characters, real conversations. It feels so real.
I love that. And so you started really writing in lockdown. Is that because you had a bit more time on your hands? Because I know for a lot of people when they start writing, time is a real issue, isn't it? So I suppose really that was a great time to start writing, although it was a terrible time for the world. Was that one of the main reasons why you were able to write so much, do you think?
Honestly, I don't know if I would have started it if it hadn't been for lockdown. There was, we weren't going anywhere. We weren't doing anything. I wasn't taking my son to football. I wasn't, doing all these other things, classes. And yeah, I actually did remember thinking, if I don't start it now, when am I ever going to start it? And because it just flowed, I wouldn't have been able to do that if I'd had normal life happening, everything going on. So yeah, totally.
That's interesting.
Totally.
And what's your writing? Do you have any rituals? Do you have any kind of processes? Do you have any routines that you do when you write? Do you have a favourite time of day? What does your writing routine look like?
It's as and when I can, but I do need space. I love the local library. I love to go there for a whole day on a Saturday, and I honestly, I still am amazed by how much I get done, whether I'm writing, editing, doing social media. I just get so much done because that's all I'm focused on. And it's great. Or even the local coffee shop, but there's more distractions there,
Yeah, I have to be in a quiet zone. I'm really easily distracted anyway, Headphones. So I can't have lots of stuff. I can't have lots of stuff going on. And so because your writing process was slightly different. So when you came to me, for the listeners, Paula is a member of my academy. So we meet monthly and we talk about targets and we talk about processes. And Paula's now published 2 books with Mabel and Stanley Publishing. She's got one more try. I nearly got them around the wrong way. And Let Me Go, both of which have achieved bestseller status. We'll come back to that in a minute, Paula. But because you came to me with these books already written, what are we going to talk about now, do you think?
Editing.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the listeners how that was for you?
Well,
what kind of process that is?
Do you know, it's really funny because and I see it all on social media, people don't like editing. It's really hard. It's really anxious. I actually really quite enjoyed it, probably because as you say, I was a bit different to everybody else. Yeah. It was the way I could see things take shape once you'd helped me through that, and once we edited it, I was like, wow, it's starting to really feel like a book now and not just a story that I wrote in lockdown, I think there's so much good about it. Yeah, it's daunting at first. And we did obviously talk about the story arc, but really I wasn't that far away. I just had to reverse engineer a few things, really.
Yeah. And you were great. You were really great at taking on board feedback, because some people find that difficult because there is a lot of, when I say criticism, I mean constructive criticism. I mean, it should come from a good place. It should come from someone who you trust, whose opinion you trust. You're not going to please all of the people all the time. Yeah. But you do have to take a lot on board when you edit, don't you? You have to take a lot of suggestion, a lot of feedback. Sometimes that feedback is positive, sometimes not necessarily negative, but there's, lots of work to be done. And you were really great at that. You did embrace that process, didn't you? Even though you must admit probably the first time you were a bit like, oh my goodness, I didn't expect there to be
horrified.
As much.
I think I had to go and lie down.
Did you, in a dark room?
Yes.
Brilliant.
But once I went back through it, I was like, oh yeah, fair enough. Oh yeah. You really do. You've just got to take it on the chin and not and not think it's personal. And actually, the end product is so much better for it. So much better for it.
Yeah. And it doesn't, and it's not necessarily that person is, better at that than you. Sometimes you just need an objective opinion, because I think when you write, you get so involved in that story. You do need to. I mean, my books are probably edited I might have an edit, then I'll have a proofread, then I'll have another. They're done 2 or 3 times, and I edit for a living, so it's not that I can't edit, but it's really difficult to edit your own work, I think.
Yeah, it needs someone else to look at it to see that doesn't flow, or I'm not quite sure what's happening there, or you need a bit more emotion there. Some of the things that you came back were absolutely spot on, and as you say, it makes you a better writer for it, because next time you'll think about that more. Hopefully, it gets. I'm not sure it ever gets easier, but.
Well, I don't know. I think you just, because you're always perfecting it, you're expecting more of yourself each time. And do you feel like you have evolved as a writer personally?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely more, and I know. Initially, I just thought you had to put all the information. It was more of a brain dump, as I say. I just wrote, and I put as much information as possible that was in my head. And going back over it, as you know, it was like, you don't really need all of that. I get that you want to build the scene to an extent, but you don't need to know what everybody's wearing or where everybody's standing. That was something that I just thought you must have all information, and it's just one of the things I've learned, I guess. But yeah, I've definitely evolved, I think. I hope.
Yeah, I think that was probably the biggest part of your process, was that kind of eagerness to tell the reader everything, and having to learn that actually less is more. And what that does, it just really slows the pace of the story down, doesn't it? If you've got so much going on that by the time the reader gets to the action, they've got information overload. And sometimes it's what you take out is as important as what you put in, isn't it, when it comes to that?
Yeah. And thinking about what the key points is you want to get across in the scene, things like that. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's the most relevant? What is the action here? What's the most relevant?
Yeah.
So thinking about that, then obviously I presume you enjoy the writing process itself. Do you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, it's the whole, creating something to put out there and share, and even hearing one person say, "Oh, I really enjoyed the book. I read it in like 2 days." Yeah. Some people are offended by that, but I'm like, I love that.
For me, that's the biggest compliment. Well, that's the biggest compliment. Yeah.
I've heard people say, "Oh, you should savor it." No, just read it in 2 days. That means you couldn't put it down. I love that.
Yeah, that's not the type of person I am at
all.
I'm like,
me neither.
Get in there and if I get a really good book, I literally can't put it down, and I love, and that's a real compliment. If someone's they've read your book to the end is a compliment in itself, and the fact that they invested their time and energy into it. So what would you say, obviously we've talked a bit about the editing. What would you say was the most, were there any parts of the process that you found particularly challenging apart from that? Or was it mainly the editing?
I think I would put the editing down as one of the bits I loved because of what I could see happening. The things that I found the most challenging, I would say, was the fear. The whole, oh my God, am I really going to do this? Am I going to put this out for people to read and love or hate? That for me, once I got over the initial opening the edits and lying down, I think the biggest challenge is, and I don't think that'll ever go away, is this as good as the last one? Just the whole, we've all got that little bit of anxiety in there, haven't we? But I think part of the challenge is just getting past that and thinking, well, I like it, and I'm doing it.
Do you know, I was just talking with someone else today about that, and without fail, I never ever help an author to launch a book where they don't have a wobble right before, because it's such an emotive process, and you pour such a lot of your spirit, and also you are sticking your head above the parapet a little bit, aren't you? You are putting yourself out there for criticism, as it were.
Yep.
So it's going to be, is a bit like a book baby, isn't it?
Absolutely. Sending it off to
Yeah,
school.
you know,
It's first day of school out
yeah,
in the world.
I know.
A
It's a
wobble is a
bit
good way of putting
vulnerable.
it. It's almost part of the
Yeah,
steps of the process.
yeah,
Wobble, release.
yeah. And but I know obviously we've worked together a couple of times now, and you know, describe that feeling when you actually launched your book and you see your book there and people are buying it. I mean, I try to tell people there's no feeling like that, is there?
Oh, there isn't. And actually, I had a release party just on Friday for book two, and people were saying to me, "Oh, you know, you've been there, done it now," and it doesn't wear off. I still had that feeling with book two. Oh my God, this is my book. I love it. Just
Yeah,
opening the pages
yeah.
and seeing my words. I hope that never wears off. That novelty. That
It
just
doesn't. No,
this is
I
mine.
don't think so.
I
I
wrote
know. I
this.
know.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is
But
amazing.
that's good. And because it takes such a lot of effort,
Mm.
doesn't it? It takes such a lot of effort to write a book. So it's not a, you know, 5-minute job. So when you pour as much of your heart and soul into something, when it's released,
Yeah,
it's going to be a nice feeling.
absolutely.
So what are your future plans? I mean, so you've touched on that a little bit, but what are your future plans for your writing career? What would you like to see happen?
Yeah, so obviously I've got quite a few books in this series. I want to see where they go. I'm going to take a little bit of time off and then start looking at book three and just remind myself where I was with it. Yeah, and I want to keep going with the series. I love the characters. I've got a few other ideas in the back of my mind, but this is definitely my main focus. To get book
And
three out,
you did.
hopefully next year.
Lovely. That's a great plan. And you said, you know, you do have some beta readers, don't you? You
Yes.
do use beta readers for your book. So for anyone listening, it's nice to have someone who, and it's important with beta readers that they do enjoy your genre
Yeah.
because, you know, for me, I wouldn't necessarily beta read science fiction. I can appreciate the writing maybe slightly differently for me because that's my job, but it's not a genre that I would automatically choose. So if you're going to
Absolutely.
choose someone to just, you know, a trusted friend or someone to have a read through, I have a beta reader for my women's fiction, and she happens to love the kind of chick lit style that I write. So she will always read it for me and just give me that overview. It's really
Yeah,
helpful for that second
it
opinion.
is. I remember
Okay,
you
so
said that as
that's good.
well.
So
You write for one person. You can't please everybody. Just write for one person, and then you can't
no,
really go wrong.
yeah,
But yeah, I've got a couple of
yeah,
beta readers. One is definitely more into that genre than the other, but they're great, and they're great at just being constructive, giving good feedback. They won't just say,
yeah,
"Oh, it's great,"
yeah,
or "Oh, it's rubbish."
yeah. Well, yeah, and you know, you don't want people to tell you it's great if they think there are improvements to be made, because that's what you're out for doing. So, you know, if you could give anyone a tip, you know, or some tips for starting out thinking about writing a book, what would your sort of tips be, knowing what you know now?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say go for it. Don't put it off. Just go for it. And I think I read a quote somewhere, probably social media, to say you can't edit a blank page. You've got to start to be able to go back to it, to see it, and just, you know, do what I did in a sense, just put it all down, and then you can whittle out what you don't need, but just start. Don't put it off. Be creative, and you'll be amazed at what happens, really.
Yeah, it's a wonderful,
It
wonderful
is.
feeling.
It is.
And just briefly as well, I mean, again, I've spoken about this with another author recently about the promotion. I mean, that can be as hard as that's been a learning curve for you. I hope you won't mind me
Oh
saying that,
no,
but you've
definitely.
had a bit of learning to do with that, haven't you? With how to amount of people who publish and then say, well, no one's bought it. It's like, well,
Have you
no one
told
knows it's
anyone?
there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I did
yeah.
get some help
So you've worked
initially.
hard, haven't
I
you, with
did
that?
get help initially. I put that in the first book. But now I've taken a lot more of that on myself. And it's another thing that I quite enjoy. It's another thing that you can be creative, and some of the social media outlets, you can just be yourself and talk on camera, and people interact, people engage, people are curious, they want to know. So it's another part that, yeah, daunting at first, but I've really quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. And people buy from people, and actually people are curious about you and what you've done and how you've got there, and they like to see just
Yeah.
normal, for want of a better word, you know, real people just being authentic, and it's nice they can say, well, she looks just like me, or her life looks just like mine, and if she can do it, I can do it. So that's quite affirming, isn't it? Yeah. So, well, we wait with bated breath for book 3.
Absolutely,
then,
yeah. Quite excited still.
So it is exciting. It's lovely, isn't it? So for anyone listening, Paula's the first 2 books in her One More Try series are out. The first is One More Try, and for people watching on camera, they can see that now. And the second is Let Me Go. If you're listening, you'll just have to get that in the comments. And if you do have any questions about today's interview, please do email Karen at mabelandstanleypublishing.com. I'm always happy to help. I understand how difficult the process can be, the whole learning curve of publishing, promoting. It's a bit of a minefield, but it's I think Paula will agree, it's well worth the effort. It's well worth the effort. So thank you so much for joining us today, Paula, and thank you for being part of the Academy. Thank you for being part of the Mabel and Stanley Hall of Fame. You'll see Paula's books on the Mabel and Stanley website, and you'll see her being shared out on the social media platforms from time to time. So
thank you for everything, for all your help, for all the guidance through all the process, the good and the bad, all worth it.
It's been good. I'm glad. You've been a joy to work with. You've been really receptive of comments and worked hard, and that hard work pays off, doesn't it? What you get is a really much better product at the end that you can be really proud of. So lovely. Well done. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. See you all again soon, and let's get you on the right path.
Thank you.